Hello, and welcome to How to Please a Man by Pleasing Yourself. My name is Lauren Bram, and I am a sexual wellness coach. And today we're going to be talking about sex and how to make sex better and more fun and really the title of this course might seem misleading because sex is not about pleasing a man or just the man pleasing the woman. Sex is about both people having pleasure and sharing and fun and intimacy. And it's physical, it's mental, it's spiritual, it's so many things. But one of the things I often hear from women is that they feel like they don't know what to do. They have all this inhibition. I find out that they don't really understand their bodies not that much. They're not vocalizing when they have sex. There are all these things that they just don't know, and they're too scared to ask anyone. And that's why I created my bigger course, the Sexual Mastery course. But I created this smaller class because I want to give women more information about how to enjoy sex themselves and therefore also please their partners. Because the other side of the equation is that I hear from men that say, you will not believe how many women just lie there during sex and they just expect the man to be on top and to penetrate them and bring them some pleasure, or the man goes down on them and is supposed to make them have an orgasm from oral sex. And women, you're supposed to be engaged in sex, and men, you're supposed to be engaged in sex. Now, obviously, every situation is unique, and we could find examples of, all sorts of different things. But today, I want to talk about the physical, mental, and spiritual components of finding pleasure as women in sex and therefore pleasing our men better. So let's just dive right into the physical. Okay, so physically, when you're having penetrative sex, your vagina should be active. It should be gripping. So we have all of these fantastic vaginal muscles that grip and relax. These are the Kegel muscles that you hear so much about. There are women that buy eggs or stones made of jade, a stone, and they insert them into their vagina and they grip them, and they even attach weights to them to strengthen these muscles. But you can strengthen these muscles just from sex, and you're meant to. You're meant to grip and tighten around the penis because that is how you get more pleasure. And the side effect is you strengthen your vaginal muscles. And the side effect of that is sex gets more pleasurable. And the side effect of that is your pelvis is healthier and your bladder is supported better. And you have more strength after you give birth to babies. So more strength to push babies out. So grip your vagina when you're having sex and play with it. You don't always have to grip it, but play with gripping at different times, teasing your partner, figuring out, okay, in this position, does it feel better to grip? Does it feel better to relax? Does it feel better to do grip, relax, grip, relax, grip, relax? Play with it. Play with gentle gripping combined with the next thing I'm going to talk about, which is grinding. So play with gripping in conjunction with grinding. So sex can be, in anthropology, way back in university, I learned that sex happens three ways. There's the in, out, in, out, in, out, which we commonly see in American porn. There is circles with the penis, which I've experienced with some of my Latin lovers. And then there's grinding, which supposedly comes from Africa or the Caribbean. And it's, grinding. You go down and up. You really grind it in. It's that grinding motion, like if you were crushing herbs or corn or something with a mallet, you would like roll through it. It's like a body wave, but just with your pelvis. Your pelvis is rolling or waving. And through this grinding combined with gripping, we touch more surface area of our vulva. So our vulva is innervated by the pudendal nerve, and then the pudendal nerve travels up to the clitoris. And we really want to stimulate not just the clitoris. There's so much focus on the external clitoris. I want you to stimulate your whole vulva, the big lips of the labia majora, the smaller lips of the labia minora, the perineum just between the vagina and the anus as well as your clitoris. So when you're grinding, you're going to get more action, more stimulation, more movement of blood into your vulva and into your external clitoris, the little pink pearl that sits at the top of the vulva. And by doing this, it's going to activate more blood flow internally in your internal clitoris. Again, sign up for my sexual mastery course if you want to understand your internal clitoris, that this whole area around your vagina fills with blood. And it doesn't do so just lying there passively having a penis go in and out of you. You have to grip, you have to grind, you have to involve your mind, which we're going to talk about in the next section. So gripping, grinding, and once you're doing that, start playing with depth. Maybe just allow the penis to just go just the head of the penis, and you control it because you control your hips. And maybe you're on top of your partner, or you're on your side, or you're on your back, but you can control it by moving in the cat-cow position we all do in yoga, by moving your body or limiting the movement of your body and controlling how much of the penis can go inside of you. This is extremely stimulating and exciting for your partner, and exciting for you as well, because if you just allow the head of the penis in, you're going to be experiencing one sensation. Whereas if you pull it in really, really deep and feel the head of the penis against your cervix or the front wall of your vagina or the back, and then maybe you hold your partner there so they're really, really deep inside of you and you're staring into their eyes, and then you start grinding a bit with it really deep. There's so many possibilities for sensation here. So play with depth. Play with speed. I talked about slowing it down. Sometimes it's fun to speed it up. Sometimes the most fun I've had is when my partner is going as fast as they can. Boom, 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 boom. And then the most pleasure ever has been when they completely have slowed down. Like they're not even moving. And I'm just holding them inside of me. And it's almost, just so overwhelming to be that close to a person. So play with speed. Incorporate that in with your gripping and your grinding. And, with this depth played and this speed play, there's almost this play of power or depriving. You'll only take in so much of the penis. Oh, now you'll take in more, but they can't move. You want them to go fast. You want them to go slow. You see, there's a bit of dominating here. There's a lot of power plays in sexuality. That's what makes it fun. And later in the spiritual aspect, we talk more about the submissive and the letting go. But don't be afraid to play with your power, to tease your partner with your vaginal muscles, with all of these things we've been talking about. Another thing physically you want to incorporate is manual touch. Sex is not just about a vagina and a penis, and I could go on and on about this, and I talk more about this in my other courses, but start today involving manual touch. You need to be touching. You need to be touching yourself. You need to be touching your partner. That's it. And there's so much in both of those places. So with yourself, while you're being penetrated, you could be touching your clitoris. You could be rubbing your clitoris. You could spit on your finger if it's too dry, and you could lubricate it. You could hold wrap your fingers around the base of the penis as it's going in and out of you, squeezing it a little bit, feeling its width, feeling it going inside of you. You could reach your hands down to the testicles and hold them, gently massage them, pressure on the perineum. You could touch their anus. You could touch your anus. There's tons of nerve endings on the external and internal sphincter. You could insert your finger into the man's prostate. You could touch your own breasts, your own nipples. You could touch their nipples. You can wrap your arms around them and pull them so tight into your chest. You can hold them back so that they're nowhere near you. You can pin their arms down. You can lift their head with your hands. You can kiss their neck and their ears. You can bite them. There's so many things you can do when you're not afraid to use your arms and your hands at the same time that you are grinding, gripping, and playing with your vagina. So do not be afraid of manual touch in combination with things. Orgasms are amazing because we often think of a clitoral orgasm versus a vaginal versus an anal versus a nipple. What if you had several at the same time? And you can have vaginal orgasms while you have clitoral ones or anal ones, or breast orgasms, full body orgasms. Play with combining. The more we combine stimulation, the more exciting experiences we have. We open ourselves up to more pleasure that way. The last physical thing is vocalizing. I talked about using your vagina, using your hands, using your pelvis. I want you to use your mouth, and not for what you think. I want you to talk about what your needs are. I want you to say, go faster. I want you to say, go slower. I want you to say, stop for a second. I want you to say, I want you to kiss me here. I want you to say everything that you need. And I want you to talk about everything you're feeling. And I want you to talk about your pleasure. I want you to tell your partner, oh my God, that feels amazing. I want you to tell them, oh my gosh, I can feel you so deep inside of me. I'm so wet. You can talk about everything that's happening, and this will turn your partner on so much. When your partner hears you say, what your needs are, they're so relieved. Or that they're doing something that feels good, they're so relieved. Because men can't get inside of our heads, and they're desperate to please us. They want to be such great lovers. They want to give us the most pleasure we've ever had in our lives. So give them positive feedback. And when you're experiencing pleasure, tell them how big their cock feels. Tell them when it feels so good. Vocalize and make sounds. Men love to hear women moan and make crazy sex sounds. You'll feel their penis swell inside of you when you make these sounds. It's such a turn on, and it's really healing. We're supposed to make these sounds. We live in a culture where we're so suppressed. We muffle our cries. We don't grieve out loud. We don't sing as a tribe anymore unless you go to a church. We need to vocalize more. We need deep belly laughs. We need sighs. We need screams. We need crying. All of these things move emotion out of our bodies and get rid of these blockages. And that's what's going to open up your pleasure and your orgasm and your enjoyment of sex. Okay, you with me? So that is the physical component. You can go back and listen to this more. And again, if you want even more comprehensive information on sexual mastery, sign up for my sexual mastery course that includes coaching so we can talk about the issues that you're specifically facing. Okay, mental aspect of sex. Let's go into it. So don't fear your imagination is the first thing that I have here, because your imagination is an amazing tool, and we think we're in control of it. We think, oh, my imagination is something I have control over because I can think pink elephant and then I see a pink elephant in my imagination. And what people don't realize is that your imagination is like this pathway between this bridge between this physical world and these physical bodies and other dimensions. I mean, it's through this, quote, imagination place, this third eye, this, little world inside our head where we see things, but not with our physical eyes. This is where people communicate with the dead, where they communicate with beings from other realities, where they see solutions to problems when they're in meditation or, in relaxation, when the brainwaves slow down. This is a place where we meet with the spiritual dimension. This is not just a canvas where our conscious mind decides to create things. So in sex, things are going to come into your imagination, and I want to give you full permission to explore that. So if you're having sex and you're imagining that you're, two dolphins in the sea, or that, you're the maid and he's the homeowner, the married homeowner, whatever it is, explore it. It's fantasy, it's imagination. And chances are, actually, it's not even just chances. The truth is, it's coming up in your imagination because that's where your consciousness is. There's something to explore there. There's something forbidden. There's something that turns you on. And the deeper we go into what's there, what's present right now, the conversation that we're having with someone, or the information we're getting from this imagination plane, that's your work. That's where you are. So give yourself full permission to just dive in, to be in that imagination. If you imagine that your partner is, the hottest man on earth, or the most, the president, a king, and whatever. Some people think that this is an escape mechanism, that you're not being present with sex. But I argue that that's not true. There are moments where sort of the imagination calms down and we're just with our partner and we're going, oh my God, I love this person so much, or I feel so good being connected to them, or whatever we're feeling that's like a very present feeling. There's that kind of sex. And then there's also the sex where, we're exploring archetypes in our imagination and things are happening, or, sometimes there's even physical limitations set on sex that emphasize them. Oh my gosh, we have 15 minutes till the kids get home, or we have 20 minutes and we got to be out the door, or this is the last time I'm going to see this person for a while, and it makes the sex like that much more intense. So there are all these different things that can be happening in your head with sex, and they're all okay. And just explore them and don't fear your imagination. The next thing is tell your partner what's happening. So I talked about vocalizing your needs and your pleasure in the physical, but with your mental aspect of sex, you can tell your partner what's happening with that too. You can tell them what you're imagining. You can tell them what's going on in your fantasy. People love to hear what our partners are. We love to hear what our partners are fantasizing about. It lets us into this internal, intimate space. I mean, what an intimate space that is, to hear about someone's fantasies or what they fantasize about with you. I have always been so flattered when men that I've dated and been with have told me, oh, I still think about you when I masturbate. And I say, oh, really? What exactly are you thinking about? Or, I love hearing about that because, again, it puts us into the mind, into the shoes, into the body of this other person. And the more that we connect with others in that way, it just expands our sense of humanity, our understanding of human beings. It gives us permission to be ourselves in that way. So share what's happening, and this can be something that takes you to the next level in sex. This can be something that makes you go from, oh, this feels really good, to, oh my God, I'm gonna come. So don't be afraid to explore this. The next mental aspect is dominate. So I talked about this some with physical, climbing on top of your partner, controlling speed and depth, depriving them of things. But mentally, don't be afraid to dominate. Again, when you crawl on top of your partner, when you want to be on top, you're in a dominant position. There's just no getting around it, which means your mental state must be matching up with that. So, okay, sure, there's some ways to be on top and not be as dominant, but it's a pretty dominant position, and there can even be positions that don't appear dominant that are dominant. You can be on your hands and knees with your back arched so much, like the seductress, and you feel in absolute control in that experience because you've dominated them mentally, not just physically. Like, they're yours. You have them. You caught them. You captured them. They are completely entranced, seduced, bewitched by you. That's fun to play with that power. So don't be afraid to dominate. Again, this is the mental level. So it's like mentally to allow yourself to be that dominant, to be that powerful, to be in control of the sexual act. It is totally not just fine, but men welcome this. They're like, dominate me, physically, mentally. They love that. The next thing I have is play roles. So again, when you're letting your imagination just run wild, there are going to be roles that you're going to want to play. Maybe it's the seductress, maybe you're younger version of yourself is coming out. Maybe you feel like you're both teenagers. For me, I didn't go to college. I was in a really conservative religious church when I was a teenager, so I missed out on the teenage college age sex. And so it's a big fantasy for me that comes up a lot, playing out what I never got. So and there's healing in that. There's something that my consciousness is exploring. So give yourself permission to play roles. And I think in this way too, it's like we're exploring, again, consciousness. We're exploring who we can be in the world. And it's this really safe, powerful place to explore being different people. How fun is that? And last, on the mental list, I say cry if you want to, because mentally, emotionally, when we're having sex, we are moving a lot of energy, and often emotion can come up. And if you let yourself cry and move that emotion, I very rarely, I mean, I've heard a few stories, of course, of, ignorant men saying, like, that was weird, why did you cry? But that's probably because you're sleeping with, I don't know, maybe a childish boy. But most men and women are going to welcome if you cry. I've had men cry, I've cried myself, especially after orgasms. I've seen people cry who can't orgasm and then they orgasm. So let yourself release, and it doesn't, you can sometimes tell your partner, like, you're not doing anything wrong. This isn't even about you. It's just like stress that's built up. Or maybe you have some memory, some trauma that needs to release. Or, maybe it's just unhappiness you've been carrying around for a while. But regardless, let it go. Find your partner again. Don't stop touching them. Don't stop connecting with them during it so that they don't feel traumatized. Communicate, use your words, let them know what's happening. But cry if you want to. And that's the mental, emotional aspect of how to please a man by pleasing yourself. Okay, lastly, we're going to dive into the spiritual. So how do we please ourselves in sex in a spiritual way that pleases our man or our men? Okay, the first thing I have here is let go. Just let go into all that is. Because when you really get into the deeper levels of sex, when you're having vaginal orgasms, when you're having anal orgasms, when you're having your second or third external clitoral orgasm, your body is going into these deep levels of relaxation and submission, and your mind follows that, and your spirit follows that. So spiritually, you're letting go. You're recognizing that you're not in control. We love to think that our ideas and our actions are controlling our life. No, there is a bigger force than us that is controlling everything, that is making the trees grow and, making babies be born whenever they decide to be born. And, we're not in control of these things. We think we are. We have an illusion of control, but we're not. And that's really fucking scary. And sex is this place where we're safe enough, or with this partner, we have all this pleasure, and we can really process that we're not in control, and that actually it's okay. Actually, it's more than okay. It's great. It's pleasurable. It feels fucking spectacular. So let go into all that is. Soften. I've talked about gripping and grinding. Try softening. Try softening your butt. Try softening your vulva. Try softening your vagina, the front wall, the back wall, the side wall. Soften your cervix. Soften your mouth. Soften your jaw. Let go of your face. Let go of your neck. Soften your hands. Just let all the juices flow, your saliva, your vaginal secretions. Maybe you end up squirting in this process. Just let go. Let your partner penetrate you. You've already had so much playing with them and gripping and grinding and all of that. Sometimes you just let go and just say, fuck me. And it feels so good if you have a partner that can control when they ejaculate and can keep going. And I always tell my lovers, my favorite and the most important thing they ask me is, can I come yet? And if I say no, then I want them to keep going. And if I'm tired and I'm done and they say, can I come yet? I say, yes, please, or please, baby, yes. And then I'm ready for it and I love it. So this is an important thing to communicate with your partners as well if you want to be able to explore these deeper levels of sex. The next thing is death and birth sounds. So I know this might sound like physical vocalizing or mentally, talking and crying, but to me there is something profoundly spiritual when we go into these guttural sounds, like we're dying from sex or like we're giving birth. You know what I mean? The like they're so intense, they're so primal and so spiritual. It's like the sound of manifestation coming through us. So do not be afraid to let yourself make these crazy sounds. They sound so crazy, but they're gonna turn your partner on. They're going to move energy. They're so important. These are the sounds that we make when we squirt, when we have really deep vaginal and anal orgasms, and when we have this like letting go, this healing of the mental level. So let yourself do that. Make eye contact with your partner. There's something so profoundly spiritual about gazing into our partner's eyes, gazing into a stranger's eyes if you're having a one-night stand or connecting with someone at, I don't know, the gas station or on the metro. But when we're having sex, when someone's inside of us and we're making eye contact, this is deep. Something spiritual is happening. Explore that. Explore breathing and intensifying your breath, letting yourself breathe deeper than you've ever breathed, maybe coordinating your breathing with your partner. These are tantra techniques. Explore it. The breath is life. This is so spiritual to focus on our breathing in sex. So play with it. Sometimes you're going to feel like holding your breath, and I know the tantra people say never hold your breath, but I've intensified my orgasms and I feel sometimes if I'm going to squirt, I feel myself sort of stopping and starting my breathing a little bit. So don't be afraid of if that happens as well. Feel sex in your whole body. So spiritual sex, it's like sex moves out of the genitals, and it's in the full body. It's everywhere. We're connected to everything. We're feeling every sensation of sex in our toes and our fingers. We're vibrating with the whole universe. So sex orgasm can take place in your whole body. You can be orgasmic in your teeth, in your nose hairs, in your eyeballs, in your hair. So let it penetrate and move through your whole body. And at the same time that you're moving out into the universe and feeling connected to all that is and feeling the timelessness of what is, you can also travel deep inside yourself. You can travel deep, deep, deep inside your vagina, inside your cervix, into your heart, into your emotions, into your anus. Maybe they're kissing you and touching like the deepest parts of your mouth. Allow yourself to go and feel these deep, deep parts of yourself as well. And lastly, let go of all your inhibitions. Spiritual sex means letting go of all of these mental hangups that we have. I'm not attractive. This isn't okay. I don't look sexy in this position. Now, sex can start out in the physical, focusing on those things. Oh my God, I feel so sexy in this position. I feel so sexy on top. As sex deepens, it's like all the inhibitions go out of the way. You're making sounds that that might seem ugly. You're making movements and faces and sex is just sweaty and messy and all of that. But letting go of inhibitions and speaking whatever we want to speak and making those sounds and those movements, it is freedom. I mean, that's true freedom, is not giving a shit. And what not giving a shit comes from is feeling so safe to be yourself, to express your essence in the world, to realize you're not in control, so you can't be messing anything up, and you're just going with the flow of life. Life is flowing through you. So there's not a responsibility there. And there is responsibility there at the same time, sort of total responsibility, but it's but in sort of an integrity way. But it's just letting go into not being in control and being free to be you and letting all the pleasure of the universe move through your body. And it's a state of no mind, which is a state of meditation. And sex, in my opinion, is one of the greatest meditations. So I hope that this class, How to Please a Man by Pleasing Yourself, has been helpful. Check out my sexual mastery course for women, ladies, if you want to learn more about your clitoris and positions and, I don't know, oral sex, anal sex. There's so many things that I talk about in that course. Check out my book, The New Rules of Sex. I've got more sexual courses at laurenbrem.com. And thank you so much for joining me for this course. I'd love to hear your feedback on my website, and enjoy your sexuality. It's one of the greatest gifts we have. Thanks for joining me. Take care. Bye-bye.